Alright, guys and gals, welcome to Game 4 of the Tiny Wars Open Tournaments. I am Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And CJ, who do we have for this Game 4 match?
On this match, we have as player 1, cjlim2007. I believe he's a washed-up Fog of War player. And on the P2 as blue, we have nulldriver playing as Waylon. Did I say who CJ was playing?
God, you didn't say who. CJ did not say who CJ was playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I was playing Tinker versus Waylon here. And so you can start the match.
I did so.
Tinker, you might be wondering why there's no art there. It is because he is a custom CO in this game. There are a couple custom COs in Tiny Wars, and but basically Tinker's thing is he has a big zone of just 10-10, so just a kind of default
kind of like pennies
zone. What was that?
A little bit like pennies.
Yeah, and then, but it's four zone, or 4 is the distance or range, and his like thresholds for the zone increase are kind of weird at 20, 40, and 60, and then also he has a cheaper CO power at 30, which gives plus 40 attack and minus 10 defense. So basically, it's like a glass cannon thing going on there. And would you like to explain Waylon?
Alright, so Waylon, aka best theme ever in Days of Ruin. No questions asked, he has the best theme in the game. As a CO, an air specialist CO, so when he's popping out air units, he'll be able to get that. He's what some people call the defensive air specialist, where he gets I completely forgot about Waylon. It's either like 2 or 3 on his zone, and he gets a little bit of attack, but a bit more defense for his air units, which if he has teched up air units, they probably would enjoy it more, like maybe bombers or fighters. Battlecopters are already kind of fragile, but battlecopter on battlecopter might be alright for Waylon, considering that they do get a bit of an attack boost as well. So that's help out with their defense. And Waylon gets... I'm not wrong about this. I do know this about Waylon. When he uses his power, all his air units get plus 300 defense. Never seen it happen though, but I would love to see what missiles and anti-airs do to Waylon air units when he uses his power.
Yeah, defense in this game is not nearly as OP as in the previous Advanced Wars games, but it's still pretty strong, and so 300% does mean, I think, that he takes like chip damage from missile.
Some chip damage?
Is actually... Was that?
You trying to say some damage from a missile?
Yeah, damage. But defense actually is quite good on battlecopters, because they don't typically get defense from anything, and so like having that extra defense like kind of matters. Like you don't tend to calculate it very often, so you don't realize just how good it is.
Yeah, it's like anti-airs and missiles and fighters just completely destroy other air units. Unless maybe it's another fighter with fighter on fighter. But yeah, air units are kind of like glass cannons, and adding some defense to the air units, I guess, kind of balances out the negatives of air units. But yeah, we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, usually with Waylon, you tend to, or you would expect to see kind of like B-copter spam, because then they do get a decent amount of value. Like they're able to fight B-copters very effectively 1v1. That's when it's really good. Like you don't actually need to tech up to dusters and to fighters and bombers and stuff. You can just chill with like a lot of B-copters. It's fine.
Or you could maybe go for ground unit, and because Waylon's CO zone isn't so tiny like Lynn's or Tabitha's, they probably will be able to just get some charge up there, and then when they get the charge from there, pop the power, and then just send in all the air units. But I haven't seen that strategy work yet. So about the game, looks like CJ's been able to successfully harass a few bikes with recons, and the recon's confronted with the tank, but tank backup is there, and depending where nulldriver is going to move that tank, okay, that tank is covering the units there, but I don't think it's covering that heavily aggressive recon there.
Yeah, it is not covering the recon. I was a little bit confused by this, but I will pick up that free kill. Or
you or CJ was a little confused by
you're
this.
Right. Yeah.
What the hell are we doing this video? So CJ successfully stops that cap, covering one of Biz bikes with the tank. Oh no, not the tank, the artillery, and moves the tank down, facing two tanks against that one tank on that bottom side there. So so far, CJ has decent control over the pace of this match.
Yeah, basically, I'm just trying to generally be a menace, and that's kind of just how I play, or at least I feel like that's how a lot of people, especially if you just played this game a lot. You want to keep your CO around. You need them to keep building charge, so you kind of just like play around with it, play a little bit outside of the threatening enemies, and bait them into things.
I just noticed two things. One, when did nulldriver build that mech? Two, why haven't they boarded the CO zone yet? How do you feel about delaying your CO unit? Personally, I like to get them like not super early, but I'd like to get them as soon as I could on a decently good unit. So like I'm not just gonna be like, oh, I can only build infantry this turn, let's just put my CO zone in infantry. I like to put it as soon as I can on a decently good unit. So possibly nulldriver doesn't feel comfortable putting Waylon in a battlecopter.
Yeah, for the first question, the mech was built like actually a long time ago. It's getting there.
It is getting there.
But yeah, and COs, you definitely want to board them pretty early. Although Waylon, he boarded on a B-copter, although that was the second B-copter.
The second B-copter, correct.
And I also get it, like, especially if you're new to the game, although sometimes I do this too, and sometimes I just straight up forget to board my CO. I come in with this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna board my CO this turn, and then I'm gonna board my CO next turn. I'm gonna build this unit, this tank or something, or this B-copter, and I intend to board it next turn, and then like, the turn doesn't come around till like the next day, and then I pick up the game again, and then I move my bike off, or my tank off, going to the battlefront, and then I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, I was supposed to board that. So I completely understand if that's what happened in nulldriver. But also another thing is just if you're newer to the game, you're generally going to be newer to the CO mechanics. It's not the same as the older Advance Wars game, so you might not think too much about what you need to do with that. And it's a good learning experience. This is a open tournament for anyone, and we are getting a lot of people who have never played Tiny Wars before, and so we're glad to Tiny Wars. And so we're kind of glad that we're able to do these commentaries and kind of teach people some good general beginner advice. But tank is usually the way to go. I personally went with a recon on this just because Tinker, I feel like, is a good early game CO, because like his zone is so big, you can keep him really far back, you can keep him pretty safe, so like a recon is fast into the field to get charge, and then can kind of hang back and just kind of screw around and wait and be threatening.
Yeah.
So that's personally why I do recon on Tinker, but I don't usually do recon on very many other characters. But yeah, if you don't know what to put your CO in, usually I would recommend using Tinker. This was pretty bold.
This
move.
was. I did want to comment last turn that we don't know how experienced nulldriver is with Tiny Wars, but earlier we saw a nice little example of bike walls and having a tank, artillery, battlecopter all covering it up. It's like, you didn't go in for the attack, but I mean CJ did go in for the attack. Oh wow, the power plus 40% offense and minus 10 defense. So you're kind of a glass cannon, but your glass cannons don't matter if you're able to attack them first. And that was a very aggressive push from nulldriver that last turn. That battlecopter was exposed to another battlecopter and an anti-air in the back as well. So it's honestly a little mind-blowing to see.
Yeah, I think we've seen this kind of in one of our previous games of, like, sometimes people do get impatient and kind of just go in, and it's not the most favorable thing. I think I was gaining an advantage here, so nulldriver probably thought that, this last-ditch effort, I gotta make a play.
That's usually not the case.
Sometimes you can feel the pressure of like, oh, they're gonna have an income advantage.
Oh, of course.
And then I don't really feel like I have anything else, because like before the past like turn and a half or whatever, like the top was pretty solidly mine, and the bottom, I think I was just holding and just kind of chilling there.
Oh yeah, you had
so
your
I didn't
zone there.
I didn't mind. What was that? Oh
You had your zone there, so you were a bit comfortable with that.
Yeah, so I didn't mind just sitting there, just waiting. I can pop my CO power at any time to, make a strong push. And like the thing with Tinker is like he's not getting any movement bonuses, not like Will, but but if there's just a bunch of stuff in range, well, it's free real estate for him. So that's kind of what I was aiming for, and that's what I was able to get.
Yeah, and a little bit different from nulldriver's turn, but you made an attack, but your recon is still in a very protected space. And here we see nulldriver, putting his CO unit behind good cover and giving all of his non-air units plus 10% offense and defense. So it's a nice little bonus for all those units to have. But they're just like kind of slowing down, and I don't think nulldriver is able to stop that bottom cap.
Yeah, no, he's not nearby. And so at this point he retreats and he kind of balls up and defends, which is good, but there's really no way to prevent the expansion that I have, the continuous forward momentum and just all of the different caps of the different areas. Now I'm moving slowly because I can't just dive right here. Because if I do dive, like, I do have the advantage right now, but if I dive now, I won't. Because, he has his reinforcement distance is closer. He, has centralized his army, and so in order to hit it, like, it's possible for me to hit it from top and bottom, but I won't get it'll be very hard for me to do that without just like completely screwing up my positioning. So I can just move forward slowly.
You are in a position for possibly a decent pincer strike attacking. CJ is at the possibility of a pincer strike attacking from both fronts, and they'll probably might not kill, probably might not push through, but you maybe might leave him with like so much damage that that they don't have enough units to counter both fronts. But if CJ does go in with the power, they do lose 10 defense, so it could bite them in the back if they use the power and try to move in and not deal significant damage. But as of now, CJ's in commanding fashion.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing is, like, I could do that, I could jump in, but it wouldn't be a good play, and so, like, he is very heavily defended at this point, but now I just need to close out the game by, you know, continue to take properties and just get a distinct income advantage. I'm bringing in a rocket so that because I have that money to spend, I can kind of take out his defenses if that rocket gets there.
Honestly, that rocket's not a terrible buy. That forwardmost base. Say, if they were to get to like the city, like your city on the top middle, right-ish, like top right of the fire in the middle, they only have to go through one plane tile for that rocket to move to that city. And hold on, what? So, oh, I see here. nulldriver is trying to go for a push on the bottom and the top side as well. They're splitting their forces, but your forces are split up as well.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what the counterplay. Nope, they just went for the percent.
There wasn't any counterplay that I did there because the game ended.
The game ended. That was quite the interesting game. Let's see here real quickly. I don't know if we did this for the other game, but yeah, 10 income ahead. Nearly doubled all the units. Yeah, it's quite the interesting start of the game, in my opinion. Had the oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, what? Ah, moving too far up. so yeah, now I'll just be serious. You had the you started off with the recon, and they built a mech, which is the opposite of fast, considering the recon. You're able to get some harassment in, but the turn that I felt that made a really huge difference, if I can find it, was this turn.
Yeah, that turn.
This specific turn was what I felt was the shift in momentum. Right now, everything's pretty much stabilized, honestly. But as we could see, there's 10 units already. Wow. Oh yeah, the harassment and 2 income behind, about to be 3 income. But yeah, it's not a. Honestly, there's a couple things that nulldriver probably could have done. It was like possibly let this property go, maybe this one. Your forces were bigger here. What nulldriver possibly could have done was like maybe front shift to this side, where you look like you have a bit fewer units, maybe leave some units behind to defend the properties, and then just like try to go for an attack on like possibly up here, and then maybe try to gain this corner.
Yeah, that is a possibility. I think so. A lot of the time, I was working with this base right here, which can reinforce either way. Actually, this is the frontmost base to the right and to the bottom. But like I was ready in case that did front shift, but like it's possible that he might gain like a little bit of advantage. That probably would be the better play though, because he's not gaining anything over here, and he doesn't have really enough to defend this property. So possibly could move to the top right, but overall though, just kind of what was going on builds off of the earlier parts of the game of just like the capture game, and like it's hard to really determine exactly where a capture game goes wrong. Like even I don't really know, but all I can really say is that he didn't have the like the control of the top to really pose a threat against me. And I was just able to kind of secure my position. I had arties on both sides that were able to hold down any attacks that could kind of push against me. So I was sitting kind of fine as long as I could hold the income advantage, which I could. So it is, yeah. I mean, probably shifting fronts would be the better play.
Just definitely
least,
not pushing in
yeah,
like that.
Not diving. When you dive against your opponent, usually you need, because you're gonna take heavy losses. That's just the nature of diving like that. You need to have like specific goal in mind. You need to be getting a significant amount of compensation. You need to be taking out like a good chunk of their valuable units. You want the best case is like being able to take out the CO, for example, because that's a high value target. Like if you're playing against like Tabitha, for example, you would want to get rid of that CO because they are a threat. And so maybe you'll dive on that. But in this case, I had positioned my CO Recon knowing that I could not die in one turn. And in that way, I kind of baited nulldriver into that attack. I had the RD nearby, I had a bunch of tanks, the B-copter, the AA, all that stuff, and then significant number, decent number of like bikes and infantry to block. So, diving is kind of something that you need to.
It's hit or miss.
Yeah, you really need to know what you're doing with it, and I mean, there's also like simulation that you can do to see, like, will this go horribly wrong? Sometimes it works, but yeah, sometimes you can find that like, yeah, no, this is not what I should be doing. I need to just sit back, be patient, maybe kind of shift around your units and see if you can make an opening in your opponent's defense. But yeah, or pressure them into diving you.
Yeah.
Which would typically be something like, getting your CO power, or building up your CO energy.
Yeah, Waylon, I feel, is a slightly tricky CO to use. And on this map, there are probably a few parts of the map where battlecopters can be effective, such as like a bunch of these river tiles that they could dance around so long as they like have the units to protect some of the bridges. Maybe the mountain area here in the middle. Like, I don't expect anyone doing this, but like maybe destroy this meteorite and then the battlecopter could just like front shift immediately like that, or like have the threat of possibly having a battlecopter on the top side if they have no anti-air and such, but you had anti-airs on each of your fronts near the battlecopters. For tanker, you had a much larger zone on an open map, so it was kind of easy for you to get up the charge, and you use up the charge, got a really good push, which I believe was, I don't know if this was the turn.
It was this turn. Yeah.
Or was it this turn? Yeah. Last turn you had they were right. They were sitting on your lap when you had the power. But if you were going for an attack, you want your turns to look like this, where you have units pushed up and a lot of units either in danger or damaged heavily.
Yeah.
All right. So that is game 4 of round 1 of the Tiny Wars Open 1. CJ moves on to round 2. Thank you guys.
Wait, I do? That's crazy.
Well, I mean, you washed up in fog. Maybe you got something in standard.
I don't know about that one.
All right, guys and gals. I am Advanced Warrior.
And I'm CJ.
And you all have our warmest regards.
Thanks
Please take care. We did it again!